Hello and welcome back to Sickle Cell Sundays. My name is Gilda and today I wanted to talk a little bit about sickle cell and dating. So recently I put on my Instagram page as to what you guys would like to see on my page, and sickle cell and dating was a topic which came up. I also then asked what you guys would like me to talk about sickle cell and dating, and a variety of questions came up. More or less some of them were on the same lines. Sorry, I'm just looking down at my phone at the questions. And a lot of it was like, how soon should you tell someone that you have sickle cell? How long do you wait before telling your partner about your illness? When do you ask if the person you're dating has sickle cell or even a sickle cell trait? At what point do you discuss if they have a sickle cell trait? When is it the right time to let someone know you have sickle cell? So a lot of it was more on when and how. So I feel like that is what I'm gonna talk about today. So I feel like with this kind of topic, there is an answer which I guess you guys might not like, which is very generic. It's what you guys feel more comfortable with. There's not an exact right time. You should tell someone if you have sickle cell or not, or if you should ask them whether they have a sickle cell trait or not. It's literally what is best for you. So in terms of me, my experiences have been very different, I guess. I've had lots of different experiences, and I feel like, don't know, I'm not a serial dater, guys. I do not date that much, so I'm really not put in the position that often where I have to tell someone that I have sickle cell or if they have a sickle cell trait. So it's kind of like, when it happens, it happens. But my approach now is very different to what my approach used to be. I can say that. When I was younger, I literally didn't talk about the fact that I had sickle cell at all. I was very like nervous and shy, and I just literally, it was a topic I just didn't really talk about. Whereas now I'm so vocal about the fact that I have sickle cell. So if I'm talking to someone, they'll probably know before I tell them by looking at my social media. But regardless of the fact that they'll probably know if I have sickle cell just by what I post, I would always tell someone that I have sickle cell if I like them, because I feel like it's my personal duty to tell them personally. So yeah, when do I tell someone? So before, I literally didn't have an approach whatsoever. It was just more of a panic situation where I just kind of splay it out, if that makes sense. Now I still kind of panic. I like build up different scenarios in my head, and I have so much anxiety around it. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need to tell them. Then I'm thinking, oh no, this is not the right time. Then I start thinking about all these different responses and replies, and it's just like, what am I actually doing? Like, why am I doing this to myself? And then I end up like just telling them without even thinking about it properly, which can have a negative effect, I feel. So yeah, before, when I was younger, the first time I ever told someone I had sickle cell, it was not in the best circumstances. I don't know why I thought it was appropriate. We were at a restaurant and I didn't actually like verbally tell them. I had a testimony which I written on my phone when I was a bit younger about the fact that I had sickle cell in my life and stuff like that. Like, it was kind of short and sweet, got straight to the point kind of thing, but I like literally gave him my phone to read, and it was like the worst possible experience ever, because we're both sitting down at a restaurant table, I'm looking at him reading the fact that I have sickle cell, and I'm like sweating in my seat, panicking, thinking, what the hell is he thinking? and he's just reading, and I'm just like trying to like, I don't know, play with my knife and fork, trying to put something in my mouth, and I'm thinking, this is just so ridiculous. Why did I think that was a good idea? But yeah, and thank God, like, it was all okay. He was fine about it. He already knew that he didn't have a sickle cell trait. So we kind of discussed that then and there, and it was fine. But do not do that, guys. I would not advise it whatsoever. I would advise you tell someone in a nice, comfortable, quiet place, somewhere where you feel relaxed and there's not that many people around you. I had a full set of like the public around me, which is not the best situation. Anything could have happened. But now, so at that stage, I already liked the guy that I spoke to and I told, and I wouldn't do that now. I do not want to get to the point where I'm telling someone when I already like them, because I feel like that's just putting me in danger, my feelings in danger. Like, what if they happen to have a sickle cell trait and I knew that I can't be with them? Or what if they actually ended up having sickle cell themselves, and then that would be a no-go zone? Or what if they just wasn't really comfortable with the fact that they'd be going out with someone with a lifelong condition? It happens, and I feel like stuff like that you just can't take too personally. Everyone is very different with the way they cope with things and with the way they express their emotions. So I would always say, when you are approaching this subject, do not expect anything from anyone. But yeah, so now I would tell someone, I would bring up the topic when I'm thinking to myself, we've been talking a while and I feel like this could possibly go somewhere, and yeah, there's potential. And that is the stage where I would then tell them I have sickle cell. So it's more of a thing where I'll be like, so I always approach the subject by asking if they actually know what sickle cell is, because some people do not know what sickle cell is, which is fine. Some people know a little bit about it and they don't know the full extent. I feel like it's important that I tell them how it affects me particularly, and ways that they can possibly help me, or if I was in a situation, what would happen. I feel like it needs to be very individualized. So I would always start off with that, and then I will kind of go into the fact that and say sickle cell is something that I live with, and see what they reply. And then if it's good, then I will keep going and say like, oh, do you know if you have a sickle cell trait or not? Has your parents ever told you? Have you ever had a blood test to check or anything like that? Because a lot of people sometimes already know because their parents have told them. But I would always say, regardless if their parents have told them or not, make sure they get double checked. Because my sister, my mum's always told her and all of us that she doesn't have a trait, but only this year we found out that she does have a trait. So sometimes test results can, I don't know, not think, like, what is it? Sometimes test results are not as what you think. Does that make sense? Yeah, sometimes they're not right and you just need to get double checked. But yeah, and then that is pretty much when I would tell them and ask them if they have a sickle cell trait or not. I would always do it within the same kind of conversation. I don't want to like bring up one part and then delay the other part. I just think there's no point. We might as well get it all out in the open once we are talking about it then and there. And that way we can figure out what is happening with us and like the future and stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like it can become a very like pressurized situation, especially for them. They could feel like they are under pressure, if that makes sense. I would not tell someone by text, which I have done before. It's not the best. And again, I was in a situation where I just like my mind and my emotions and literally anxiety overtook, and I just like spilled the beans, if that makes sense. And I told them by text and they just didn't know what to reply. They were like, oh, that's okay, but like now I'm not sure, like I want to get to know you, but I don't know. And it was just kind of really awkward, because I feel like by text messages can get misinterpreted. They don't really know the vibe that you're coming from. I'm just thinking, I think it's best if I tell him now, so that way we can know where we're going or where we're heading. And like I just feel like it's a better time maybe now. And they're probably thinking, whoa, like this is way too much too soon. So I probably wouldn't do it by text. It's important that you speak to them face to face, so they get where you're coming from. And a lot of people are extremely nice about it. I've not had anyone that's been really rude about the fact that I have sickle cell when I've told them. Everyone's been really understanding. And at one point it wasn't really the person that I was like talking to that had an issue, should I say. It was actually the parents that wasn't too impressed. So sometimes, yeah, like I said, you really cannot expect anything. You never know what's going to happen, really and truly, and you just have to go in with an open mind. And I feel like the main thing about sickle cell and dating, I would literally say and advise, do not date maybe, or can I say do not date? I would say probably not the best to date if you have not accepted the fact that you have sickle cell. I know it sounds kind of like crazy, but a lot of people haven't actually accepted the fact that they have sickle cell. It used to be me. It was kind of like, no, I don't have it. And it was only at the time it flares up that I would think, oh, this thing again, kind of thing. But I feel like it's so important, because it's like you need to know how to look after yourself. You cannot then go into a relationship and expect them to kind of look after you, I don't feel. And that is my personal point of view. And I just feel like it'd be better all round if you knew how to help yourself, and then you told the person how to look after you, if that makes sense. But yeah. What else was I gonna say? Acceptance is key, and love yourself, because if you can't love yourself, then how are you gonna love somebody else? So very important to love yourself before you start dating. Again, it can cause problems and issues and stuff like that, which you do not want. You don't want the extra added stress, especially when you have sickle cell, as stress is a trigger. But yeah, so I've not been in that many relationships. That is my point of view. I've had literally 2 boyfriends, and they've been both very different with the way they have behaved and coped with the fact that I had sickle cell. One was way more like open, and we would discuss it a little bit more, and he'd come to like the hospital with me at times. Whereas the other one was, sickle cell was kind of like something we didn't talk about. It was kind of non-existent in our relationship, which I feel like sometimes at the time I thought it was quite a good thing, because I didn't want sickle cell to like be me. I didn't want to be defined as someone that has sickle cell kind of thing. That was not me. And I didn't like the fact that, no, and I liked the fact that he did not see sickle cell when he looked at me. But then it got to the point where it was a bit like, this is kind of dangerous and not healthy at the same time, because what if something actually happened to me? You wouldn't really know what to do. You wouldn't know how to take care of me. You wouldn't know what to say to the paramedics or hospital staff if you were there with me, if something happened. So I just thought, this is not really gonna work. And it was a conversation which I then had to approach later, once I already liked him, and trying to change that in a relationship was not the easiest, let me just say. But yeah, I feel like that's it. I'm like going on and on, guys. That is the when and how. I hope I answered that for you properly. If not, let me know. If you have any other questions around sickle cell and dating that you want me to answer, let me know, because I really do not mind doing these videos. I find it quite interesting and funny a little bit myself. So yeah, that's about it. Hope you have a good week. Peace, love, and kia.